Welcome back, everybody, to Squad's Night In. We actually have a name.
We've
this
officially
week
named it.
for the first time in forever. This week, it's the boys back again. I'm Josh, in case you forgot. There's also Jaime and the OG squad member who finally decided to bless the mic, Mr. Cahill.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
So, this week we have a lot of great topics on the menu, and we're going to start off with something near and dear to our hearts, which is the weather in St. Pete right now. So, as many of you probably don't know, I don't think we mentioned it in the first podcast, we're actually from St. Petersburg, Florida, and it is raining right now. And one of the things that happened recently was the hurricane that hit the Carolinas. And Jamie actually has an interesting story about his feelings when the hurricane went past us.
You know, as Floridians, we really look towards all these events. You know, sometimes it's raining, sometimes it's sunny. It can change in 5 minutes. Sometimes it'll rain while it's sunny. But a lot of Floridians, you know, we were just looking at that hurricane, kind of hoping it might come our way.
You know,
a sick way, sick way of just looking at it.
Oh yeah, I sure was. Obviously, we feel bad for people in the Carolinas and everybody that got hit, but you know, it's just a typical Floridian thing. I mean, it takes me back to last semester or last fall at school and college, where Hurricane Irma hit Florida, and it was supposed to be a lot worse than it actually was, but you know, everybody had power issues. I mean, barring, a few of us, my power, flickered for half a second and then I was good. But, school was closed for, 1.5 to 2 weeks, and it was just pure bliss. I caught up a little bit on the schoolwork, but going back was hell.
You know, it's kind of like we were united and divided at the same time, because we were united in the sense where everybody would just talk about the hurricane, but we were divided in the sense of everybody was acting like it was survival time for this hurricane. You know, water, electricity, food. Like, people were fighting over everything in the grocery store. You know, a McDonald's line was like 40 minutes long.
Oh man.
You know,
it was actually really interesting because before the hurricane hit, I had made a pledge to myself that I was going to be so productive that semester. And the hurricane hit, and we had 2 weeks off of school, and everything just fell apart. Like, I was getting emails from my professors and stuff, and they're like, oh, this paper's due when you get back. And I was like, I'll figure out an excuse so I don't have to do this paper. I'll just be like, yeah, I didn't have Wi-Fi, or internet. I couldn't do that paper.
Right.
You know, everybody didn't evacuate because I go to a school where like 90% of the students are from out of state. So when the hurricane hit, they all left. But, I lived 10 minutes away from the school, so I went up the street, and I actually felt the hurricane where most people didn't. So I actually didn't have power for 2 weeks.
Man,
unlike
that's
Mr.
rough.
Cahill Holmes over here, who had
my half a
split second. He didn't even invite us over, guys. We didn't get an invite.
Yeah, the OG squad, not even sending out invites. But, it was really funny. As my mom's preparing for the hurricane, I find I'm a little bit different. I kind of just go with the flow. If it's my time, it's my time. But my mom's getting prepared for the hurricane. She went to Walmart. She's buying all these things. She bought water and all these things. And I will never forget. She came through the door, and I'm just checking out the groceries. She wants me to put them away and stuff. And I look in the bag, and there's floaties. What am I gonna do with floaties? What is anybody gonna do with floaties? And I asked her that. I'm like, Mom, what are these for? And she was like, somebody's gonna use them. And we weren't in an area that was gonna get flooded or anything, so I wasn't really too worried. But she was just a little bit paranoid.
It's really it's really bad. But one of my dreams, or one of the things I've always wanted to do, was like boat in like
Yeah.
a flooded city. I think.
Oh my God.
I know it's awful, but I think it's just so cool. It's just like a flooded city, and you're just like in a kayak or a little boat, and you're just going around on top of all the buildings and stuff. I think that'd be so dope.
With
But
all
it'd
the
be
sharks swimming around?
Yeah, it'd be really cool. It's like that one movie Ponyo, where
Right.
there's the whole like city's flooded. I think it'd be dope. Like if we could just like boat around these cities and stuff like that. But it's pretty bad.
I definitely think we all wanted to be in that situation, but not want to
Yeah,
get hurt.
you
You
know,
know,
it's
just want to boat around the city.
Yeah, it's like a dream that you know you shouldn't want, but you still do.
Man,
So.
I haven't had that dream yet.
You've never thought about that?
No, I that
You
freaks
never
me out,
thought
actually.
it'd be pretty dope to like
I
float
will
around
say
in a
I
flooded city?
have like had like thoughts of man, this place is flooded and like I have to like swim forever and like stay afloat and tread water, and that like always freaked me out. Like that was like, it wasn't really a dream. It's kind of like a nightmare situation where the city's completely underwater and I'm just having to tread water to like live. It's completely unrealistic, but it freaked me out, and so I had the opposite experience. Let's say that.
Yeah, I understand a little bit because I'm like deathly afraid of going out on a boat in like the ocean because there's just so many things in the ocean. Like I wanted to be a marine biologist at one point, but just like the fact that like when I'm out in a kayak on like a murky river or like an ocean, I'm just like terrified that something like, I think one time I was out at Fort DeSoto Park and I was on a kayak and a manatee came up. It scared the hell out of me. Like I almost fell off the boat. I think my sister actually fell off. She was on like a paddle board and the manatee came up and she fell in the water. Dog, that could not be me. I'd die.
No,
like if I was in that water with that manatee and I couldn't see, I'd literally die. Like I'd drown.
It's
like,
over right
I'm
there.
telling you, I'd just give up. I just die. But
Definitely in Florida where we have these murky waters and alligators are not scared of humans at all.
Oh my
so
God.
they could be like right next to you.
Right.
You just wouldn't know it.
It's crazy. Could not be me.
Right. So yeah, we're not really trying to be insensitive to what happened in North Carolina and the Carolinas area in general. Obviously, sending our prayers out to those people. Hopefully, those towns recover, and hopefully those people get their electricity back.
Yeah.
And but it kind of.
It's just like a little adventure in your life. It's a little
Right.
different than your normal day-to-day going to work. Instead, it's like, oh man, this street's flooded. I might have to, take a detour, and the whole office is going to be talking about
Right.
it.
I will say, after the hurricane did hit, there were so many trees and things down and power lines down. I didn't get a text from work saying that I didn't have to come in, and at the time I was working at the golf course.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there is no way this place is open. I mean, like, there's no way. Everything's cleared out, but there's no way. So I'm driving down the street, heading there, and there's trees everywhere. There's power lines everywhere. So, I mean, it was kind of like a video game, trying to, like, dodge the debris that's in the road. But it turns out I didn't have to work that day, so it was a waste of gas, too. But, lack of communication. Speaking of driving...
Yeah, there is as we just mentioned, we're from Florida. And out of many of the other memorable things that happen in Florida, one thing I think we can all connect with is driving in Florida.
Oh my
And
God.
at times it could be really good, and at other times it's awful. Because Florida is known as the vacation state.
Right.
So a lot of the snowbirds come down during the winter to come down to the beaches and things like that. And they generally drive down, and it's awful because I don't know about you, but when you're stuck behind a snowbird going 35 and a
just the worst.
45,
It's
it's awful. And especially if it's like a one-lane road, and you see this dude from Philadelphia,
Right.
and he's in front of you driving like 80 miles below the speed limit,
Right.
and you can't pass him, so you just have to suffer through it.
That's always funny. I have this rule of thumb, like, if you are from a different state, no offense to our listeners that are out of the state, but if you're
We
from a
love
different
you
state,
all over the world.
we love you. But if you are from a different state and you represent that tag, that state on your license plate, and you get in front of me and you drive below the speed limit, I just assume that like all drivers from that state are like terrible and like like get out of here, like if you're not going to drive the proper way and all these things. But to be fair, on their part, I am an impatient driver.
I mean, it's just the worst when they cut you off, though. And
Well, Floridians do that to us as well, you know?
I've done that a couple times.
I can't stand when, there's a lane where somebody's supposed to turn right.
Yeah.
And so they don't turn right. They try to like speed up and like get in front of you. And that is the worst. But I am totally guilty of doing that. I am the biggest hypocrite.
We're our worst enemies.
Right.
We do everything we hate. It's like someone will be coming up behind me and I'll see that they're trying to pass me, like they're speeding up, trying to get around me,
You just gotta
and
speed
then
up
I'll
faster.
just speed
I'll
up
go
too.
faster. Yeah. Yeah. It works in their favor because we're both going faster. But
So they get caught behind the car. That
oh
they're trying
yeah. I know that. Where you like box them in.
Yeah,
Yep.
so they can't get around.
Yep.
And I'm like, well, you either stay behind me or I trap you.
We can do
There's
this
no other way.
We can do this the easy way, or we can do this the hard way.
I'm telling
And they
you.
know what you're doing.
Exactly.
We all know what's going on. So like, it's basically it's happening all the time, and you're just aware of it. And
Right.
You're just
It's so
No,
stupid.
the highway's the worst. For me personally, there's a speed limit for the highway. Obviously, rarely do I ever see the signs. You could say that I'm not looking, but I'm just telling you that they are few and far between. We just kind of assume that the speed limit on the highway is what 60, 70, some places.
75.
I am going 80 at all times. I cannot go below 80 because personally, I feel like if I'm driving my car, it means that I need to be somewhere. Right?
Yeah.
I'm going somewhere. I need to be somewhere. You being in front of me driving under the speed limit or not, if you're in the fast lane traveling really slow and you're not passing anybody, that is my biggest pet peeve. I'm in the fast lane because I have somewhere to be, and that irks me. But I'm always going like 80 on the highway, and you always think you're the fastest guy until like a Dodge, Charger like pulls up behind you and like they're like on your tail,
120.
right? You're already going 85, 90, and they're like hitting 100, and you're like
Shit,
Yeah.
man, what am I doing?
right. So, but it's kind of funny. I mean, I can't. I'm going over the speed limit at all times. Not excessive and not dangerously over the speed limit, but like I'm aware of my surroundings and. I feel like if I'm in my car, I have somewhere to be. If I didn't have anywhere to be, I would ride my bike, I would walk, I would do all these things. But then again, it's too hot in Florida to do any of that.
Yeah, no, it's too hot for to do anything. It's humid 90% of the time, and it's like I can handle. Like I've been to places where there's just dry heat, but humid heat is honestly just the worst.
Yeah,
like you just feel awful. Like it's not just you're sweating; it's you're sweating and you're like sticky. And like it's just so bad,
dude.
And it's not fun.
I as you guys know, played tennis tonight, and it was brutal. I got there at 4:30 ish, and I hit in this group kind of lesson kind of thing called a clinic, and I was going all out. I won't lie, I was going all out, and I was hitting the ball really hard, and I was drenched in sweat. And then I had to play doubles afterwards, so I literally had to drive home, change my clothes, and come back. My clothes literally looked like I jumped out of a pool. It was crazy.
It's
and
awful.
it was brutally hot. It was so hot and so humid. And by the time I was done playing doubles, when it was actually cooler out and the rain was coming in, I was still drenched in sweat. It was that humid and that hot, even though the temperature had dropped,
I'm telling you. All the people who come here, during the winter, and honestly, the winter, like people may not know it, but the winter in Florida is honestly
Not
one
the
of the
winter.
It's it's like, but in a way, it's one of the best times of the year because it's not super humid and hot.
Right.
Like it's like during the summers in Florida, people are like, oh my god, the summers it's all sunny.
brutal.
It's raining like
Right.
every day in the
Right.
summer in Florida. I don't know. Like why they don't tell you that on the pamphlets,
Right, when you're moving forward. Man,
summer.
this is the vacation spot. I'm going to get a summer home in Florida,
I'm telling
and
you.
you're going to get here, and I promise you, every afternoon you have plans. It will rain,
Yeah.
and it will only rain when you have
I'm
plans.
telling
That's
you,
the way it
it's
works.
Just, it's just raining constantly,
Yeah.
and you can't do anything. Like you want to go out and do something, but it's just raining. like I think for the last 2 weeks, it's not just like raining at different times of the day. It's always at a certain time.
Yeah, well,
like,
you know, the afternoon thunderstorms.
Yeah, I'm telling you,
It's the MO for Florida in the summer.
It's
you know.
awful.
But the thing is, I think we do actually get a winter in Florida, but it literally lasts a day. Like literally, there is that one day where it's like 30-something degrees, and everybody's like, "Hallelujah!" Like, oh my god, and we're all dressed up like
we're all in thick snow gear,
right?
Like
we're in New York in the winter, you know, like there's snow falling.
Those
yeah,
Uggs.
the Uggs. Oh my god, don't get me started.
It's not that cold to wear Uggs. Like
Right.
it's still 80 degrees.
Right. You know, like in the morning when the sun's not out yet, it's like 30 degrees, and then by mid-afternoon, you know, you're up at 85, and you know it's not winter anymore. So I guess I shouldn't say winter lasts a day. It lasts
Like a couple hours in the
couple
morning.
hours in the morning, because once you hit the afternoon, winter has come and gone.
Yeah, you know, I'm one of those people that bundles up on those days. I
Dude.
have gloves because my fingers get a little cold.
Right.
Cold enough, you know. I put gloves on. I have a jacket. I have, you know, jeans, long socks. It's like a whole event day for me.
Right. Well, I mean, I'm the same way, and you know, I'm that way even when it's like 50 out, because like maybe
Yeah.
not gloves and stuff, but like I'm pretty wrapped up when it's like 50.
Scarf.
I think like people from other states don't really understand that, like when you're used to
I'm
100
telling
and
you,
something degree heat indexes every day of the summer, and all of a sudden, you know, we're being hit with 50s, like that's a shock for us. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like it was just so hot that I could cook an egg on the ground, and now like you know, it's cold. It's quite the change, and you know, cold is cold.
Yeah, it's some people just don't understand. Like I remember I went to Canada, and it was like, I think it was like about 10 degrees. It was Victoria, Canada. It was super cold. And we went on this boat ride, and not only was it super cold, it was also super windy. So it was like this cold wind just constantly hitting me in the face. And I had on like this giant coat and like pants. And the dude driving the boat was in like a tank top and shorts. And he was like, "This is perfect weather." And I was like, "No, it's not. What do you mean?"
Right. Yeah, some people go a little bit overboard with it, I think. Personally, I mean, that's just my opinion. And
I mean, to those of you listening who, you know, live, you know, up north, there's like, I know tons of times we'll think it's cold, and then people at the beach are just like in shorts because they're from up north.
That's the
That's
worst.
like their day.
That's literally the worst, because like I got my hoodie on, I got on jeans, like I'm like bundled up. I got on 3 pairs of socks, and I'm walking outside, and you know, there's somebody from up north with their tank top and their shorts on, and they're like looking at me crazy. I'm like, you must not be from here. You must not be from here.
So we've gone on enough about that. So let's move on to our next topic of tonight, which is going to be trying new things. And as you may not know, our guest here tonight has a special connection with the word trying new things, and that is Cahill, and he's going to tell you all about his experience with us trying to get him
Why do you make it like such a big deal? Yeah, I'm pretty averse to trying new things. Mostly new foods. I think that's what it is. You guys try to get me to try new things all the time, and Jaime always says, you know, man, the best thing you ever have in your life could be out there, and you just haven't tasted it yet. And I always come back with the same thing, and I think this is a really, really important thing to kind of realize. You know, the way I live my life, it's a little bit different. I don't really go out trying new things because I think I'm going to find the best thing ever. You could say that I'm just content with the things that I do eat, but I don't go with them. I don't live with the mindset that the best thing out there I haven't already experienced yet. You know.
Mm-hmm. Well, you can go ahead, Jamie.
I would say, you know, like I don't have that, like, you know, like for example, I went to like New York last year, and you know, we went to get some pizza. That was like the best pizza I ever had. But like I wasn't going there thinking, you know, I'm searching for the best thing. I was just like, man, I heard they got good pizza,
right?
So I'm gonna, you know, try it, and it was like the best pizza ever. And
but like the reason I say that, it's a little bit weird, I know, but the reason I say that is because, you know, you'll say, Cahill, why don't you try this? And I go, I don't think I'm gonna like that. You know, you go, but it could be the best thing ever. It could be the best thing you've ever tasted so far. And I don't comprehend it like that because I feel like, you know what, like it could be the best thing ever, but like what if I've already had the best thing ever? You know, I'm just trying something new that I already figure I won't like. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I've always been like. I won't say like a foodie because I know there's lots of serious people like that, but like
here to get roasted.
You know, I've always been like, you know, like interested with food, you know, and it's so like if it looks good and someone recommends it, I'm kind of like, oh, okay, I'll try it. It sounds it kind of brings a little bit of excitement,
right?
Me, you know, and like I know Josh went to Costa Rica with his family. And he had like a similar situation with that.
Yeah, it was pretty awful. So we went to Costa Rica, and I was so excited to go to Costa Rica because one of the things I like most in this world are like rainforest, and I think they're some of the like coolest areas in the world. And not only that, but the culture in Costa Rica, like because I took 6 years of Spanish. And I don't remember any of it.
God.
But Costa Rica was one of those places that always came up. Because it's just such a rich culture, and so we got there, and the first thing we did was we went to like the most touristy location we could find, and everybody went to a Pizza Hut in Costa Rica. I was there, and there was a perfectly authentic store right across the street, and everyone ran to that Pizza Hut.
That's
like
unfortunate.
they were. I'm telling you, and that was every place we went. It was just like Americanized food, like barbecue and hamburgers and generic buffets, like. And then I remember one day we were riding up a mountain, and it was to a like national park or something, and it was really slow traffic, like because there was a lot of people trying to get into this park,
right?
And I noticed a dude on the side of the road selling empanadas. And I jumped out of the car and ran up to the stand.
You didn't get out of the car and walk to the guy. You jumped out of the car and ran.
I saw the dude and I got out of the car so quick. And I ran up to him and I was like, yeah, let me get an empanada. And that was that was one of the best empanadas I've had in my life. And it was the only authentic Costa Rican food I'd have. And it's a shame because there were so many good like food places to go to in Costa Rica, and we passed like all of them to go to like McDonald's and Pizza Huts, and it's a shame. But
on the flip side though, with trying new things is like, I romanticize the idea of skydiving. Like in my head, like I'm like, I can one day I'll face my fears, and I'll go skydiving, but I don't think I'll ever do it because I like it's so scary to me, and so like it's like, man, I think it's like trying new things is hard sometimes.
I do get what you're saying, but for me, when it comes to like trying new things, I'm always game to try a new sport or anything. I think for me, the aversion comes specifically with food. Because you're putting this stuff in your body, and not that it's like poisonous or anything, but like you know what you like and you know what you don't like. And there's many different methods of determining what you like, and people always say you don't always eat with your mouth first. I have to hear what the dish is called. If it sounds crazy, it's a little bit hard to kind of judge the dish based on how it sounds, based on the name. But like if you look at it and it already just doesn't look that appetizing, I can't really force myself to eat it. It's not like I just don't want to try these new things. I genuinely feel like my body's just like, dude, I don't know if you're going to like that.
It can definitely backfire. I know Josh and I, we went to this, what was it, like pho place? Am I pronouncing it right? Pho?
Yeah, I think so.
Like the Vietnam noodle place? Is that what you mean?
And we had some...
Pho.
And
that's what it's called. Yeah, pho.
We had some
they'll
pho.
get on you.
We had some pho in this bowl. And we each got these 2 big bowls, and it was my first time ever having it. And I guess there was just lots of spices and stuff in it. So it tasted real good, but like I was sick after eating that.
Yeah.
But hey, I still go back and give it
another shot. I give it another shot. I guess I'm just happy with my Chick-fil-A, my
Yeah.
Chipotle, all the basic
There's
things.
nothing wrong with that.
All my
you know?
basic things. I guess I'm just a basic person.
You know,
I love my
remember-
Starbucks.
I remember when me and Jamie went on this road trip during the summer. I forgot where we stopped. I think it was in Tennessee.
Mhm.
Did we go? No, we didn't go to Tennessee. It was probably Virginia or something like that.
Mhm.
But we went to this one restaurant for breakfast, and I was looking at the menu, and I looked at the menu, and it said garbage plate.
Oh, man.
And it was like great. It was like pancakes covered in like biscuit gravy with like sausage and eggs. And I was like, that doesn't sound like the greatest combination.
Right.
But I tried it, and when it brought out to me, it honestly looked like someone threw up on a plate. Like it did
Oh.
not look appetizing whatsoever.
Right.
But dog, it was like one of the best things I had in that area when you
Right.
sample the food. Like it was
But
really good.
Yeah.
So I mean, sometimes the presentation is not all that matters.
I guess what I would say is like, if you're traveling, maybe then think about trying.
Yeah,
something
I mean,
new.
it's.
Like,
I was gonna say that earlier when you were talking about going to
But-
Costa Rica, and I don't know if you could tell, but I was feeling kind of bad when you were telling the story about like, man, we've passed all these authentic restaurants, and I felt bad because I do think when you go travel to see a new place,
yeah.
I think you're going with the intention of trying new things. I don't think anybody goes, forgive me if you do go out to travel. And, you're like
You're wrong.
You go to those, McDonald's. You go to those Pizza Huts and all those things.
Yeah.
But I really do think a lot of people, when you go out to travel, you're going to experience new things. You're going to experience a completely new place. I think you go with the understanding that, there might be some American food here, but maybe not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's just kind of like a risk you have to be willing to take.
Yeah.
And so, like, if I did go travel to a foreign place,
Yeah.
Spain or anywhere, I would be trying, many different types of food, but especially the foods that I feel like that I would like,
Yeah. There's the actor. I don't know if I pronounce his name right. Shia LaBeouf.
Shia LaBeouf.
Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah, Shia LaBeouf.
I read like a interview, I guess, where he was doing Transformers, and he said like they traveled all over the world to film that movie, and he said he wouldn't try any new foods just because he didn't want to get food poisoning. And I'm like, man, that'd be so hard for me.
That seems like it'd be difficult, but that's a
like-
completely valid
Yeah,
reason.
it is,
I'm not talking
because
about those
it's-
people who go. That's a completely valid reason.
But
I mean, you're shooting a
imagine, like-
movie, but I think that would be
Yeah,
hard.
I
That'd be-
understand. But like even my dad, like the main reason he doesn't want to eat in like other countries is the food poisoning. Like
Right.
it's-
Yeah.
and I'm just like, well, like we're going all over the world, and you're paying so much money to go all over this world, and like especially with my family, like they already don't like do a lot of like I guess dairy things. Like they
Right.
don't like other than like the tourist attraction, like the museums and like some national parks. Like they don't do anything interesting.
Mhm.
So like you basically go to this location to stay in a hotel and eat,
And just say that you were
McDonald's.
there?
Yeah, just say you were there, and you
Hey,
don't
we
do
traveled to
anything.
Costa Rica,
Yeah.
but we didn't do anything.
So I mean, I can
That
understand,
would
but
be
like if I'm in China and I walk by the street vendor and he's cooking up, I don't care if he got gloves on or not. Like,
Oh,
I'm eating
man.
that food,
Oh,
dog.
man.
Like
I
I know
gotta
that
have some
triggers.
standards.
Yeah, I know that triggers a lot of people when they see people cooking and they don't have gloves on.
Okay.
Like, I don't care. Dog.
Quick question though. So you said if you went to China and you saw that, you wouldn't care. But if you were like in a restaurant and they were like, I don't know, if there's somebody like not really making your food because chefs don't really wear gloves when they're making
Yeah.
food,
Yeah.
but preparing your food and they didn't have on gloves or anything, like how would you feel about that? Just in America,
You
Yeah,
know,
I mean,
would you care?
I at this point I just don't care any. I don't really care just because like I worked in a kitchen and they're touching your food like they are touching it
Right.
and like I've seen it firsthand and if I'm going out to eat like I just accept it like
Right.
someone is touching my food.
I must admit, watching Kitchen Nightmares has made me kind of like a snob to that kind of stuff. I'm like, man, I can't order this. There's no way they'd be able to prepare that daily. But I don't know. That's just kind of a funny story.
That's wild, dog. Well, I guess this is a segue into probably our final topic, which is gonna be human tendencies. And I thought this would be a nice segue because of the fact that some people just have tendencies to, as Gil said, not like to I guess, not necessarily want to try new things because they already know what they want in life. And I guess what Jamie says, like, he'd like to go skydiving, but, you know, it's just like a tendency with him to, you know, he doesn't think he'll ever do it because of that. So I guess it could be with the human tendencies to, I guess, probably overcome your fears and, you know, have the courage, because it really does take a lot of courage to do something that you're not used to, and I think we take that for granted a lot of the time.
Yeah. I think the tendency is actually opposite, though. For the most part, we have a tendency to not want to face our fears. You know what I mean? We have a tendency to not be that courageous person.
Because we can be comfortable.
Exactly, because we can be comfortable, and we don't have to. We don't have to, you know, change. We don't have to go through change. And you learn it in the most basic biology courses, where your body is trying to maintain homeostasis. It's trying to maintain this, you know, internal balance of not really changing, you know. And that's it's a little bit different, because, you know, that's kind of like a life or death thing. If, you know, your body changes too much, you could, you know, get sick or something. But I think it's just a good commentary to look at it. It's a good commentary on life itself. We don't really like change. There's some people that do, and there's always exceptions to the rule. And we just kind of accept that. But we always have the tendency to want things to stay the same. We talk about it in tennis as well. My coach, Gary, always says when you're returning your serve, or when you're playing somebody, always look for the tendencies. Always look, you know, this person has a tendency to serve to the backhand literally 99% of the time. You better just assume that it's going to be backhand, because that's what they're going to do.
Yeah.
And I think it's just a part of life. I think it's just a part of human nature to find something that you're comfortable with and stick there. You know what I mean?
But when you think about it, even from birth, humans are, you know, very curious creatures. Like, when you see babies, like, the first thing they do, like, when they're born, is they like to touch everything. They like to taste everything. And you wonder if it's just as we become adults, we lose that, you know, sense of curiosity, and we get too comfortable in, you know, where we're at, that we lose our need to change.
This was I was talking to one of the tennis people that I play with down at the club, and it was an amazing kind of viewpoint that he had on life. And he just kind of explained. He says, you know, when you get older, you have experience. You know about pain. You know about, you know, all these different. You're wiser, basically. And you can say that's common sense. But then he also says, when I was a teenager, I did all kinds of things that could have killed me, but I didn't know any better. When you get older, you have things you want to protect. You know, you build a family, you have kids, you get a house, and all these different things. You know, the stereotypical, like, American dream kind of thing. You have these things that you want to protect now, and I think that's part of it. I think that's part of why. I mean, as we get older, we acquire more things. We acquire knowledge. We acquire, you know, relationships with people. And I'm not talking about just like dating relationships, but like friendships. Like, you guys are my best friends, and, you know, I wouldn't want to die because I enjoy spending time with you guys. My family. I have a family that loves me, and I love them. I wouldn't want to do these risky things just to get this, you know, tiny moment of a thrill. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's like, people say you only live once, and that's true, but that doesn't mean go out and do like stupid things and die and end your life really quickly. You know, life is short, but it can also be full, it can be long, and it can be rewarding, just based on the way you live your life.
It's important to keep things in moderation.
Yeah.
It be what it be. It do be like that sometimes, as we like to say a lot.
Right.
But yeah, those are our thoughts on Squads Night, and we'll probably be back next week. We don't know
we'll
when.
Be back next week.
We will be back.
We are going to try to make this. We're going to try to make this a podcast that's been uploaded every Friday. Mm-hmm. And so we would like you guys to like, comment, and subscribe. And tell us about what you want us to talk about on the show. And we are open to suggestions.
In the future, you know, we might be going live, so that way you guys can follow us and talk to
us.
us. bring up your comments and questions.
Yeah, we probably should have done that or tried that for this one too.
I feel like our fan base needs to grow a little more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We'll probably try. We'll try the live soon once we build some fan base. So be on the lookout for that.
Share it with your family and friends. Anybody you think.
Be sure to hit that bell notification
Right.
button.
Share it with your friends, your family, anybody you think might enjoy listening to us. Chat
on the way to work.
Right, on the way to work. Anywhere. I think we have pretty interesting viewpoints, and we would love. This show isn't really just about us. It's about all of you too. Everybody listening. We want to hear what you think about the topics that we talk about. And I think that's the way the show would work the best. If you guys got involved in the comment section, we will reply. We'll like. We'll pin comments that we think are great. But like I said, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and we'll see you guys next time.
All right.